Hey folks, back at Biomerics, this time at the Athens, Texas facility where they have large development and manufacturing of balloon technologies. I'm here with Aaron Gustafson, the plant manager, and CJ Cox, the head of new product introduction. Aaron, tell us a little bit about this facility, what you're manufacturing here, the scalability, and then I want to talk a little bit about the integration of smart technologies and miniaturization.
Okay, here at Athens, we have literal decades of balloon development and manufacturing experience. We can develop from the ground up. We have currently manufacturing around 20,000 balloons a month with the capability of going up to 40,000. We're able to take your design and take your idea. We go from the ground up. We have engineers that are able to develop your product. We have full capabilities of new product development, R&D, testing. We're capable of taking your project from the ground to full production for almost any type of balloon that you can have in your project. We're able to integrate. We've built and prototyped balloons with integrated circuits, complex multi-lumen extrusion balloon catheters and balloons to go with them. We can design any type of new hubs or connections, and we can take that all from the ground up, and we have the capabilities of taking that into mass production.
Okay. CJ, let's talk a little bit about new product introduction and a little bit what Aaron talked about, the scaling, and the key component here is vertical integration, right?
Yes. Yes. So at Biomerics, we support materials, tubing, extrusions, molded components, balloons, and finished interventional devices, Steve. So, when we pair in with customers at the beginning, we like to form a partnership that allows us to take their idea from concept to scalable manufacturing.
Okay. Okay, we're in the engineering lab here at Biomerics, and I'm with Brennan. We're talking about the ability to develop new balloon technologies and that process. You could share about the capabilities and then how you iterate on a new design and then how you transfer that to high volume production.
Yes, sir. So with our key capabilities here at Biomerics, we have an in-house machine shop that allows us to create custom materials and custom tooling to meet the tolerances of our customers that are asking for specific products. And from there, it allows us to work with them and maintain a close relation with the customers through the entire duration of the prototyping phase. And then after we get done with our prototyping phase, once we've kind of allocated a custom balloon that fits their specs, we validate those balloons. After they complete the validations, we move it off to the production side of things, because here in the engineering lab, we try to mirror exactly how it looks down the road for production. So that way we can do a quick overturn for prototyping, validations, and then straight into production.
Okay. Talk a little bit about that early stage NPI development process and how you work with a customer if there's changes. It's not always a fixed design. Sometimes they might test out some designs, even on an animal study or a benchtop. Talk about how you collaborate with a customer on an early stage like that.
So during the early development, during the prototyping phase, we provide our extensive knowledge that we have here at our COE of balloons, and we kind of give them a guiding hand to allow them to find the tolerances, find the capabilities that they're looking for, especially if it's a very highly advanced balloon that is requiring extensive compounded materials. So it we'll work very closely at the very beginning, early stages, and kind of showcase our extensive knowledge to the customers.
I know this is a tough question, but from a time standpoint, how long it takes to iterate a design, is that pretty much depending on the application or the changes, or is there a standard time frame that you use to iterate?
During typical time frames, during the lead times for prototyping, we typically see 6 to 8 weeks. During that time frame, while we're creating their the customer's products, we do send them real-time evidence of what they're asking for, so that way we can showcase exactly what the customer's tolerances are. And after that, we usually have a validation time frame of 3 to 4 months, and then afterwards, going straight into production, it will be streamlined and run quite efficiently.
I guess with your in-house vertically integrated capabilities, in particular the balloon forming molds, you have that all in-house, so that helps you in the extrusion tooling, I assume in-house. That allows you to kind of react quicker.
Yes, sir. Yeah, with the in-house capabilities of our machine shop and the extrusion side of things, it allows us to overturn our lead times and cut that down to a quicker route time.
Okay, excellent. Hey folks, we're here at the Biomerics Athens facility with two gentlemen that have been involved with the technology at this facility from the very beginning, and we're surrounded by all these patents and these early developments that Will Davies and Chris Richardson were involved with. Will, thanks for taking the time to talk. You've been involved in this balloon technology development at this site for many years. Share with us a little bit about the history.
Sure, be glad to. I joined the company in 2003, and at that time, the company was, I think, 10 years old, but had not really hit any kind of critical mass. And there wasn't a lot of balloon technology expertise in the company. There was a lot of inherent knowledge about how to make a balloon catheter, but not the balloons themselves. And so, interesting story. We actually started off. In 2003, we were making balloons manually. We had the strongest guy in the company sit out at a workstation with some tooling and some nitrogen, and form balloons by hand. So needless to say, they were not very consistent and not what you would consider high performance. So right after I joined, we started looking at automated balloon systems and purchased one of the first 9608 balloon machines from a company called Interface. And it was light years ahead of what we had been doing. And at that same time, there was some concept and some preliminary work on trying to reinforce the balloons to achieve higher pressure. We had gotten some information from one of our future customers that the burst pressures at that time for typical balloons were 20 atmospheres. And they found that there were calcifications and occlusions that you could not open at 20 atmospheres. So we pioneered the development of what we call the composite balloon, where we took a standard balloon and there was post-processing to add structure to the balloon itself in the form of, in this case, real high tenacity fiber technology. And with that technology, we developed some pretty significant intellectual property around that capability. So it was really the added value or the art of placing materials on a standard balloon.
Okay.
That was the art that was created. And to this day, we still sell through one of our large customers that balloon technology that was developed in 2003. And it's still the generations of that balloon is still the highest pressure and the lowest compliance balloon in the world. It's not even close. Most other balloon technologies for high pressure PTA purposes is 27 or 30 atmospheres. We have a balloon that's rated for 51 atmospheres.
Wow.
So more than double the burst pressure of that. So that's kind of the way that it evolved. We developed that technology, developed the IP around it, and have since, added different claims to that original concept.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Well, it's Chris, transitioning to you. Were you that strong guy that was doing the balloons in the beginning?
No, I wasn't. So I I pretty much joined. I tell everyone before Biomerics, I was in high school, so I joined the company when I was 19. So it's been 20 years now. I'm literally dating myself, but I wasn't. I came along a couple of years after the initial innovation, right when we were starting to ramp and scale some of this production. I think initially our customer thought they would sell a couple hundred balloons a month, and now 20 years later we're blow molding 20,000 balloons a week.
Wow.
So it's been an incredible ride.
That's amazing. Amazing history and legacy. Let's talk about what the future and the vision, what you're doing here. Talk a little bit about some of the technologies and the scalability and vertical integration.
Sure. So, the company here in Texas was called Future Matrix Interventional. We were acquired by Biomerics in June of 2018. So all of the management team decided to roll into Biomerics to continue the journey. And the strategy for Biomerics was for this site to be the vertically integrated balloon catheter center of excellence. And about 2/3 of the revenue for this site in Texas is either a balloon, a component for a balloon device, or some sort of catheter configuration with a dilation modality. In the history that Will talked about, we were focused on the very high performance, non-compliant end of the spectrum. So the original balloons were PET balloons that were fiber reinforced. So we had applications in the PTA angioplasty. We also developed a device where we knew it would be ideal for a percutaneous kidney stone removal. So it's still the leading product on the market for that indication as well. And then over the years, the balloon market has evolved. Catheter applications have evolved and changed as well, and we knew we needed to extend beyond this non-compliant and start to cover more of the compliance spectrum. So where we had reinforced PET, then raw PET balloons, stepped into nitinol balloons, then PBAX balloons, and ultimately urethane balloons, just kind of following that compliance spectrum along the way. Now, what Biomerics has always specialized in and what made us unique here in Texas, one, we're doing business in Texas. It's one of the lower overhead structures that you'll find in the medtech segment. And as we grew in volume, our Texas site does about $70 million in revenue annually now, and we're vertically integrated. So it made us fast from an innovation perspective, but it also has kept us quite competitive from a COGS perspective. So most of the balloons that you see here, we execute the extrusion from raw materials for the balloon. We extrude the shafts. We still source polyimide, where we use that as an inner lumen. But we do all of the secondary processing on the balloons here. We injection mold the lures either for an adhesive or overmolding application here on site. And we extrude. Most of our balloons have some sort of radiopaque tip. We extrude those tips and then form them through some sort of thermal processing typically here. So really the only materials we source are the raw materials. We source the packaging, which there are very attractive volume discounts, in your Tyvek to film sterile barrier. And then the radiopaque platinum iridium marker bands, which we buy by the tens of thousands. Where we reap those benefits as well. So, the business has been quite robust in what we've built. As you tour the facility here, what you'll see is, right adjacent to our lab, we're building our own tooling and blow molds. We did some of the original white papers with Interface way back in the day while we were developing those balloons, and we have a Confluent equipment footprint of over 30 machines now here on site. We also have an EO sterilization partner right across the street where we have our own balloon validated cycle. Many of our customers are able to adopt right into that cycle with kind of a more streamlined approach. As we built balloons, we were very focused on rated burst pressure. And in achieving that rated burst pressure, It was always a rob Peter to pay Paul type scenario. So we were always combating the performance of the balloon in burst versus the introducer compatibility, the trackability, especially for peripheral vascular applications on various platforms, 038, 035, 018, and 014.
Okay.
Guidewire platforms that were there. And what we did, over years and years of applications and initial indications for use and how those indications evolved over time is we just started to really dial in the precision that it took to achieve the performance, to achieve the trackability, and not compromise quality on these products. So you'll see many of the examples here. That is Biomerics' niche, balloon plus.
Okay.
A raw balloon within a composite structure over the top that either leads to a higher rated burst pressure. We have thin radiopaque films. That's a tungsten impregnated film. We have matrices around the balloons that are engineered for the balloon to refold whenever you extract the fluid as well. And now, where we really want to capitalize on the future is integrated circuitry, into the balloon system. I mean, you guys know the disrupted trend in PFA.
Yes.
And that's really where it has led us from an engineering perspective.
Interesting. So the full range from highly compliant, like we see here, to, what did you call it, Will, on the
Super non-compliant.
Right.
Yeah, it's by far the least compliant balloon on the market at about 2%.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're really different applications. Really, what's the need for the physician? And there are some cases where the physician wants to be extremely precise and know exactly what diameter that balloon's going to achieve and know that it's consistent along the full length of the barrel. But in some cases, a physician wants that flexibility where we've engineered balloons that are relatively high pressure but offer a 3-in-1 type diameter option where we'll offer 2 to 3 millimeters worth of compliance.
Okay.
In the barrel of that balloon. It really just depends on the application.
You mentioned the in-house extrusion technologies, and we were talking a little earlier, Will, about all these different applications, and in some cases there's kind of co-extruded balloon technologies as well.
Yeah.
Or multi-layer.
I mean, if you look at the compliance curve that Chris mentioned earlier, the fiber reinforced is the least compliant of all, 2%. PET's around 7, nylon's about 10, PBACs is 15, and then urethanes are hundreds of a percent. So we've moved into those other territories, more compliant systems because of the needs of the physician. I might also mention that, in my estimation, balloon forming technology is very well understood now. Worldwide, the materials are understood, the equipment's understood. There's always ways to lower the cost by more automation, but the technology itself is very mature. The key for this division is what Chris alluded to earlier. It's added value. It's adding on top of a standard balloon. The balloon itself is not that creative, right? It's shapes and sizes and materials, but very well understood. It's what do you post-process? I mean, they have drug-eluting balloons, right? We have composite structures. We have radiopaque structures. We have cutter balloons that even have metal components on them to focal the force. So that's the key, is to look at these new applications and have the ability to post-process the balloon with a multitude of different combinations of materials, different indications.
And then the ability to scale that.
That's really where we specialize. If there's someone out there and you've developed a balloon where you've taken a raw traditional angioplasty balloon, maybe one you bought from Chamfer, and you've applied some other materials, right, to that balloon, and you're looking for experts that could have that DFM experience that knows the nuance to the application the clinical application that's out there, and how to make that manufacturable, leaning on the 20 years of history that we developed here, I think is incredibly attractive. We have those components off the shelf. We're blow molding balloons from 1 millimeter in diameter for a neuro type application up to 30 for a valvuloplasty type application, and everything in between, and as short as 1 centimeter in length and as long as 30 for some of the below the knee type applications. So you think about that range. We have a matrix of tooling off the shelf in these cabinets in the lab that covers that entire spectrum. It's really incredible. It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it, Will?
Oh, it's been great. And now the key is what's really inventive that you can add to a quote standard balloon.
Absolutely.
For a particular indication.
Yeah, and when we've managed different challenges as well, where the balloon materials may not necessarily be ideally compatible with the shaft or other components.
Yeah.
And that's challenged us to find various adhesive options where surface preparation was critical. But we prefer reflow, where we have lap welding and laser welding. We're laser bonding the distal ends of the balloons and shaping the tip, engineering a custom taper and radius tip in one step in the process. So, there's just been years of experience that we've developed there. We have some of these composite layers that are comprised of 5 to 6 different materials with individual wall thicknesses as low as 0.5 of an inch. Yeah.
Amazing capabilities. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that history and all the wide range of capabilities and the vertically integrated capabilities and the ability to produce at high volumes. Thanks.
The historical answer has always been smaller is better. And that's true in the PTA world because, for one, any interventional type of catheter, you want the penetration into the patient to be as small as possible. So I always use the example of balloon technology. To make a 50 atmosphere balloon is simple if you don't care how thick the walls are and how large of a hole you need to put into the patient. But if you're wanting to do it with a 6 French or a 5 French introducer sheath, wall thickness is critical. So there's always that balance between pressure and wall thickness, or the ability for the device to pass through a small opening. So it's patient comfort and it's trackability, as you mentioned, to reach places in the anatomy that are quite tortuous to get to, especially the smaller ones that Chris mentioned earlier up in the brain.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's where we're finding a lot of value here with customers, especially over the last couple of years, where R&D engineers in a lab setting, have cobbled together a multi-layer composite construction, and the output leaves a balloon that could be compromised in performance, maybe a folded profile that is less than ideal from an introducer perspective or a trackability perspective. And then we'll take that initial concept, apply our DFM expertise that we've developed over 20 plus years of these composite balloon layer constructions, and recommend any sort of design or process tweaks that are necessary that make the balloon more manufacturable, or the system overall really, more manufacturable, higher quality, more dependable, that'll pass the rigorous validation efforts that it takes to commercialize a product.
That's a good point. It's one thing to be able to develop a miniature part, balloon, catheter component, but the ability to handle it, maybe automate it, scale it, and validate it takes a little bit more grit.
Exactly, and that's where we believe we're differentiated. We have the expertise on the balloon side, but from day one on balloon design, we're thinking of how that balloon's going to interface with the system. And we understand that as well. And then, what it will take to pass the dimensional and performance specifications of the balloon. And we've got a large library of test methods, and that's where those years of different application experiences across different markets and different indications of use really add a lot of value to our engineers.
Okay, excellent. Okay, continuing our discussion here at Biomerics in Athens, we talked with CJ and Brennan earlier about new developments, and I want to transition to, once we have that development or design for a balloon catheter locked in, design freeze, Kevin, you're responsible for transferring that to production, right?
That is correct.
Talk to us a little bit about that process, and then we'll transition to Braylon and how he is the engineering manager for sustaining that program.
Sure. So, the process of transferring that in, it is really picking up on the end of that development, trying to get in really with the ground floor, even before that, with the customer, understanding what the customer's expectations are, what the specifications are for the project, and then literally just bringing along those requirements, if you will. Communication, we try to, we want to be understanding what the customer needs, being able to give core competency feedback is a big part of that, because we have a great deal of unique experience here with the balloon manufacturer. And so, all of those pieces we are trying to interject into this transfer.
That collaboration and that design for manufacturing, right?
Correct.
So important.
Exactly.
Braylon, you take that process once it's in production and are responsible for sustaining.
Correct. Yeah, so with my team, much like Kevin's team, we pair in with the development, we pair in with the transfer, because we have a lot of knowledge with sustaining and improving these projects with ProReady. And so by the time it gets to my team, our main focus is how can we scale this? How can we eliminate some of that nuance that they may have seen in the development and the transfer process?
Okay. Oftentimes when you're working or collaborating with a customer, you have maybe a forecast, right? Maybe a 3-year forecast, a yearly forecast. And based on the demand, maybe it's a product that is really wild in the market. Talk to us a little bit, the agility that you have to maybe ramp that up, even though you had a forecast, and maybe it's 1.5 times that now. Talk to us, share with us the agility to ramp that up if you have to do that.
So since we have a really strong core knowledge here within my team and within our operations team, we're able to kind of bring in those new processes and integrate them into the workstations that we already have. You combine that with our vertical integration capabilities, and we're able to kind of ramp up a lot faster than other manufacturers can. And we feel like that is what keeps us the most agile with any kind of checklist within customer demand and forecast.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, guys. Okay, we're here with Bill, President of Plastics Division. Bill, nice to see you.
Nice seeing you, Steve.
Yeah, I want to talk about the vast capabilities within the Plastics Division, from pellets, extrusion like we have here in this facility as well as others, molding, all the way to complex steerable catheter technologies. If you can give us a high-level overview.
Sure, we have a host of capabilities, everything from making pellets. We do make our own resin, particularly polyurethanes. We do that polymerization all the way through pelletization. From there, we also have injection molding. We have liquid resin casting, which is for lower volume products where we want to stay cost competitive and not build a mold. So we're building typically a pattern and a box to cast in. We do 3D production printing, and we also do thermoforming. Okay. In addition to that, we do extrusion. We're doing this facility. We blow balloons. We do balloon catheters. And then in some of our other sites, we do full assemblies of steerables and full finished devices all the way through sterilization.
Okay. In this particular site, Bill, we talked about extrusion and balloon catheters. Talk to us a little bit about the capabilities within the Athens site for extrusion and balloon capabilities.
Within the Athens site, we do blow balloons and do fiber reinforced balloons. In addition to that, we do extrusion, so we can make our own shafts. We do a reflow process. And then we also do injection molding at this site specifically for vertical integration.
So we have vertically integrated injection molding, extrusion, blow molding of balloons, all the way through making the full balloon catheters.
Bill, one of the trends in medtech is the miniaturization of medtech, getting smaller and smaller so that we can reach distally further within the anatomy. At the same time, we're integrating electronics, sensors, fibers, cameras. What's the vision for Biomerics from a plastic standpoint to support that technology trend?
Sure. We're taking extrusions down to smaller and smaller levels to support the miniaturization of devices. In addition, we're looking at getting into more micromolding, so we can also support the miniaturization of the devices. That's really where we see it going. Balloons are still going to be roughly the same size, but we may get into some smaller balloons as well, depending on where we're trying to get in the body.
Okay. I know you also, as the plastics division president, you have a metals division as well, and that's another area where there's a real integration in medtech of metals and plastics. Talk about that vertical integration, that partnership, how you collaborate with the other division, in particular the metals division.
Sure. We work very closely with our sister division. When we have metal components that we need, we can vertically insource them rather than having to go through an outside vendor. It gives us a lot of flexibility and a lot of control over the supply chain. So we do integrate very quickly, very easily with our sister plants to bring metal components into our plastic finished devices.
Okay. Excellent. Thanks, Bill.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, we're here at Biomerics. We've been talking about the trifecta: early stage development, scaling to high volume production with vertically integrated capabilities, and Shauna, as the quality manager, the third segment is managing the quality aspect of those capabilities.
Definitely. Yeah, so we always like to ensure that quality is involved early on in the process. We get involved with the project team, ensure that we have our expertise that we like to share with them, kind of explain the watch out we've seen before. So we like to make sure quality is involved early throughout the process. We are there for the validation efforts involved, making sure that everything that we need, all the critical aspects are in the validations. And we make sure that we get the cross-functional approval of the validations. So we're integrating quality, engineering, as well as production to make sure we have all three aspects of those kind of gained into the validation strategy. Then once we complete our validations and everything's ready for production, we always want to make sure that we have our production operators involved early on, so they're getting trained. Training is a major part of making sure that we're performing like we need to. So we always like to focus on training, making sure our operators are trained. We like to make sure they understand what they're doing and why they're doing. Right? We always want to make sure that they understand we are producing medical devices here. So we always like to ingrain that in them and make sure that they are producing the quality medical devices to be used on potentially themselves or someone they love.
All right. Excellent. Share with us, Shauna, the collaboration with the customer on a program from a quality standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. We always like to make sure we have a clear, concise communication with our customer so that we understand what they need from us. We always want to make sure that we've got the black and white details. We know what they're looking for so that we can make sure that we are giving them what they're asking for.
Okay, excellent. Shauna, I think we have well over 20 balloon forming machines, and I wanted to ask you, how do you verify from a quality standpoint the startup and shutdown of one of those machines for a process?
Yeah. Okay, so once our balloon technicians come in and they are able to get the machines up and running with the balloon that they feel meets all specifications, they will submit a test to the quality department. Quality will test these to ensure we're meeting all of our critical dimensions, whether it be wall thickness, burst pressure, any other dimensions that we need to. We will kind of give them the okay to continue that run. So they will produce the run to the quantity they need, whatever lot quantity they're looking for. Once that lot is completely ran, they will submit the lot as a whole to our quality department that we will then pull at random another sampling size to repeat the same test just to verify and ensure that the quality remain consistent throughout the run.
Okay. I wanted to ask you too, we were talking about the miniaturization of medical devices and we talked about balloons and the profile, and we're talking about thin wall structures, balloons that have to deliver through the tortuous anatomy, and they have to be able to be compatible with the sheath, for instance.
Definitely.
Can you share a little bit how quality is involved with some of those, the thinner walls, the burst performance characteristics?
Yeah. So those two characteristics are probably some of the most important characteristics of a balloon catheter. You always have to make sure you're able to insert the catheter. So we always have to make sure we're maintaining that sheath compatibility But once they get in there and the doctors need to deploy the balloon catheter, they have to be able to achieve the burst pressure. So there's kind of a nice balance that we have to maintain to ensure sheath compatibility and still meet the very high pressure burst requirements that are seen on some of our balloon catheters. So that is definitely testing that we cover in both our setup and our end of lot release testing to make sure we are achieving those two critical functions of the catheter.
Okay. Is there a process capability that's part of that?
No, we just kind of do like a random sampling.
Okay.
And then we have to ensure that they pass. It's kind of like 100% pass.
Gotcha.
We don't get to have any failures on those aspects of the balloon catheters.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hey, guys, thanks a lot for the tour. Beautiful facility showcasing all the vast capabilities for balloon development, catheter development, from early stage, right? Prototyping, iteration, to vertically integrated capabilities and the ability to scale. I want to highlight now the ability to offshore or transfer. Chris, if you can talk about the Costa Rica facility.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the core capabilities and infrastructures that we built in Biomerics is around serving the balloon catheter market, various markets where a balloon dilation modality is necessary. And in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota, we have a strong MPD team there where we execute full design control type programs where we don't own the DHF, our customers do, but we have the ability to build a DHF turnkey. Here in Athens, we do our quick turn balloon development and scaled manufacturing. And then when the product life cycle requires us to, we have that scalable manufacturing option in Costa Rica where we'll either do intercompany transfers or we'll execute lift and shift type transfers from our customer.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that facility. Hopefully I'll have the opportunity to go there at some point. But as far as capacity, size, square footage, some of those characteristics.
Sure. So we have two facilities in Costa Rica, one near the airport in Alajuela and one in Cartago, which is southeast of San Jose. We've got about 450,000 square feet of total manufacturing there and over 1,200 employees. So Costa Rica has been a big strategic investment for Biomerics. We love the medtech ecosystem in Costa Rica. A lot of our customers are there. There's the ability to source regionally, locally in Costa Rica. So the majority of our bills and materials are produced from raw material converters by ourselves or in country. And a lot of our labor-intensive manufacturing executed there. We chose Costa Rica because of its investment in education, because of the ability to staff our facility with senior leadership team members, where we don't have to compromise on skill. We have some of the better skilled team members in all of Biomerics that are down running our facility in Costa Rica.
That's a massive facility. Great.
It is. Yeah, we've got a lot of growing to do down there.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, guys.